This is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, broadcasting from Ankara in the 49-meter band between 1930 and 2030 UTC on 6050 kHz to Europe, between 2130 and 2230 UTC in the 31-meter band on 9610 kHz to South Asia and Australia, between 2300 and 2400 UTC in the 49-meter band and on 5960 kHz to Europe, Eastern USA and Canada, and in the 31-meter band on 9660 kHz between 1730 and 1830 UTC to Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. The Voice of Turkey is also beamed between 0400 and 0500 UTC in the 49-meter band and on 6125 kHz to Europe, the USA, Eastern Canada and Cuba, between 0400 and 0500 UTC in the 41-meter band on 7285 kHz to Iraq, Syria, Jordan and the Arabian Peninsula. You can listen to us over the Turksat 3A and 4A satellites and on the internet at www.trt.net.tr through the Voice of Turkey link. Please note that transmissions broadcast between 2300 and 0000 UTC and between 0400 and 0500 UTC have been pre-recorded. Our email address is englishdesk@trt.net.tr.
But first, the news. Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu met with Bulgarian Parliament Speaker WebSDR Rashidov at the Foreign Ministry in the Turkish capital Ankara on Monday. Çavuşoğlu said on Twitter that in their meeting with Rashidov, they discussed the Turkey-Bulgaria bilateral relations and cooperation between the parliaments of the two countries. Also on Monday, Çavuşoğlu met the former president of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, at the Foreign Ministry. Regarding the meeting, the Turkish Foreign Minister said on Twitter, "We hosted former President Karzai. Our solidarity with the Afghan people and our support for the stability of Afghanistan will continue." Presidential Communications Director Fahrettin Altun reacted to the presence of the separatist terrorist organization PKK in France. Director of Communications spoke at the Turkey-France Relations, Opportunities and Challenges panel in the capital Ankara. Reminding that the European Union also recognizes the PKK as a terrorist organization, Altun said, "However, we regret to see PKK members are active in France. Turkey expects France, as it does from all NATO allies, to end all activities of the terrorist organization PKK and its affiliates in their countries." Stressing that Turkey also expects the support of its allies in its rifle struggle against the PKK-PYD-YPG organization in Syria, Altun said, "In this context, the discovery that the French cement company Lafarge provides support to terrorist organizations, including Daesh, in Syria, will unfortunately remain a black mark in the history of the fight against terrorism." Communications Director Altun also said, Turkey-France relations should not be sacrificed to cheap and short-term political calculations that please terrorist organizations or anti-Turkey lobbies. Russian head of state Vladimir Putin signed a decree on Monday, which stated that free land plots in the suburbs of Moscow, Crimea and Sevastopol will be given to soldiers who participated in the Ukraine war and received outstanding merit awards. The official website of the Russian State Law Information System published the decree, which outlined additional measures to support the army. The government also stipulated in the decree social support services for the relatives of soldiers who died in the special military operation area during the conflict or due to illness. The decision took effect Monday, the day it was signed. After the relaxation of COVID-19 measures in China, the first casualties due to the virus were reported in official figures. According to the data of the National Health Commission, in the past 24 hours, 77 of them being foreign-sourced, 1,995 cases were detected in the country, while 2 people died due to the virus. Losses of life in capital Beijing were the first cases of virus-related deaths recorded after China adopted a new approach to easing the COVID-19 measures on December 7th. Experts point out that with the loosening of the measures, despite the further spread of the virus, there is no significant increase in the number of cases and deaths, and that the decrease in test rates with the removal of the test requirement in the new approach may be effective. While it was observed that the density increase in hospitals, morgues and crematoriums in Beijing The relatives of those who lost their lives reported that some COVID-19 symptoms, such as respiratory distress, were observed in the last moments of the deceased in their statements to the national and international press. The Joint Epidemic Protection and Control Mechanism announced a new approach in the implementation of COVID-19 measures on December 7th, had declared the need to abandon the massive shutdown, central quarantine, mass testing and travel restrictions. The death toll in nationwide protests in Peru, sparked by President Pedro Castillo's ousting the Congress on December 7th, has risen to 26, authorities said. Thousands who took to the streets in various cities across the country are demanding the resignation of Peru's new president, Dina Boluarte, and the immediate release of Castillo. Peru's health ministry said the number of people killed in nationwide protests rose to 26 and that 61 people were currently being treated at hospitals. Two Peruvian ministers resigned from their posts on December 17th due to the deaths among protesters, while Boluarte's proposal to hold the elections in December 2023 was turned down in a Congress vote. Former Peru President Castillo was impeached on December 7th at Congress for permanent moral incapacity. He was charged with rebellion and conspiracy and breaching constitutional order. Pedro Castillo was then detained after attempting to dissolve Congress and form an emergency government. Following the removal of Castillo from office, Vice President Dina Boluarte was sworn in as president on December 8th. Peru has declared a 30-day nationwide state of emergency as clashes between police and protesters rage on in several areas. The country's Supreme Court ruled on Thursday that he would remain in detention for 18 months.